In the 2022-2023 school year, Mrs. Cody has been presented the honor of being called the best teacher in the Santa Rosa School District. This honorific title has been presented to one teacher out of 1,700 teachers in the county, truly showing how great Mrs. Cody's teaching ethics are. Our team at RNN decided to schedule an interview for this fantastic achievement. RNN would like to congratulate Mrs. Cody and hope the students and staff viewing enjoyed the discussion that we had.
Being a teacher to me means finding ways to reach my students wherever they are and try and move them beyond that, to help them be more successful with my content, to encourage them to work harder in other contents, to encourage them to think beyond right now and where do they want to head in their future and what are the things that they need to get there. That's what being a teacher is. It's about connecting with students and helping them become better versions of themselves. Philosophy is tricky, but I would say that overall my philosophy is about finding ways to make connections. Teacher to student, student to student, student to content, teacher to content, student and teacher to outside of our classroom throughout the school, our school throughout the community. There are connections that weave through all of that with all the different things that I do, not only in my classroom, but within the school. So it's about finding those ways to make connections that are meaningful, relevant, and lift everyone up a little bit more. There is no one best teaching method for my students. Every student is a little bit different. So I work really hard to have a whole bunch of different tools in my toolbox that I can pull out. Some tools work for most of the class. Some tools work for just a small group of people. Some tools don't work for a particular class at all. So you've got to have a bunch of different strategies that you try, a bunch of different ways, and you have to get to know your students and watch how they work with the content, in my case math, and figure out, okay, they need something more visual, they need something more concrete, they need something that they can play with it differently, that they can connect it with something that's more meaningful. So you gotta have a lot of different strategies. There is no one method that works for everyone. I don't push my students necessarily to go to college. I don't think college is perfect for everyone. I don't even think it's necessarily where most people find the most success. What I do encourage students to do is to reach a little further than they think they can go and to reach for something and to do things now that help prepare them for possibilities they might not even have thought of yet. For example, my husband never thought he would go to college, never liked math, and then he got into electronics. And that's when he figured out that math had a purpose because he used it in electronics. And eventually he went into the Air Force, still had no interest in college. And then over time, so you have to have tools in your toolbox that can get you wherever your path takes you. It may be college. It might be a trade school. It might be that you have connections with somebody who has a business that you can work your way into and work your way up through. But put some tools in your toolbox that will get you wherever your path is going to take you. When I was young, my brother was born with his cord wrapped around his neck. And it meant that he was a little bit oxygen deprived in the process of being born. And it turns out he's super, super smart, like super intelligent, but he really struggles with how to learn things. And so I helped him all the time when he was growing up figure out how he could learn things and show how smart he was, even though he struggled with ordinary tasks and just reading things in general. And I thought I might be a teacher, but then life just didn't kind of take me down that path right away. My husband was in the Air Force, we traveled all the time, and just there wasn't a chance for me to go to college, but I started volunteering in my kids' schools, and I had a really good time. And then we moved somewhere, and I got to get on a sub list. And then I got called to a high school, and I was like, oh gosh, these guys are bigger than me. But I had a really good day. I really enjoyed my experience at that high school. And I ended up being at that high school almost every single day as a sub for almost 4 years. And so when we moved here, I said, I want to be back in a high school. And our high school opened the year we moved here. And I got hired on as a parapro because I still hadn't gone to college. But I loved working in the classroom. I loved working with students. And then my husband's job took him to Georgia, and I had a chance to finally go back to school. And I was like, yeah, it's my turn. And I got my degree in math and got a master's in secondary math education and came right back here as fast as I could. So a big part of struggling students is their mindset. They think that they can't get it or that they just don't understand. And I'm a big believer in you just don't get it yet. You don't understand yet. So I work with that and I say, look, it's easy to this person because they already understand it. It feels so hard to you right now because you haven't got there yet. So let's figure out how to get past that, help you understand that you can figure this out. And if you work with me, I always tell them, I promise you that if you work with me, I'll explain it in a way that makes sense. And then my job is to figure out what are some different ways that we can approach this for that student that will help them figure it out. So I look at what do they know? What can I build on? How can I pull something else in so that eventually they get there and they've got it? One of my favorite responses from a student was a couple of years ago, and he said, Miss Cody, he goes, math still sucks, but you make it suck less. So, I think it's about doing the best that you can. Don't think too hard about all the things you have to get yourself to because you need to enjoy the time you have now. But by the same token, learn as much as you can now. Because even if you think right now you have a goal, you have a plan, this is what I'm going to do. It is very rare for someone in high school to have a plan now that they actually successfully complete. It's more likely that you have this plan, maybe you go to college and like my daughter thought she was going to be a journalist, went to her first journalism class, dropped it on day 2 and said, nope, that's not for me. Somebody like my husband who is like, never going to do math, and then sees an application for it. Oh, now I understand. So it's about knowing that you've got to gather things to you, like the tools in your toolbox. Teach your brain how to problem solve, how to think about things in different ways, how to approach things in different ways, how to connect with people. I encourage my students to, you're always going to have people in your life that you don't necessarily like, that you don't always get along with, but you have to work with them. So find those ways to work with people, even if they're not someone who would necessarily be your best friend. You still got to work with them. Your whole life you're going to work with people. You're going to have to problem solve. You're going to have to cooperate. You're going to have to collaborate. So we started here, and let's build those skills so that when you're out in the real world, you've got all kinds of success already in your backpack with you. So I tell teachers it's important to find your community and work to find a positive community. A lot of times you feel isolated because you're all alone in your classroom. I co-teach, which means that I almost always have someone else in my classroom, and I've been super fortunate that I've had some of the best inclusion teachers, co-teachers in the school to work with. And when you share the load, it just makes everything so much better. So find those people who have a similar vision, a similar value. Find the people who teach your content and can share ideas. Find the people who just make you smile or give you a hug when you need it. This hallway is my favorite hallway in the whole school. No shade to the rest, but this hallway is amazing. We have lunch together all the time. We do potlucks. We laugh, we joke, we lift each other up. And things like that make all the difference sometimes between having a good day or a bad day. So find that community that helps you through, that helps build your skills, that helps you feel supported, and that can make it all worth it on those rough days.
Did you ever see yourself becoming the best teacher in Santa Rosa County?
Oh, no. And I wouldn't necessarily say I'm the best teacher in Santa Rosa County. Our school is chock full of really good people. Our county is full of excellent teachers who do amazing things in the classroom. I feel super fortunate that it's just happened for me this way at this time. It's humbling, it's rewarding. The love that this entire school, including all you students, have just poured out in this whole process has been amazing. Am I the best teacher in this county? No. Am I honored that somebody thought that I could represent some of the best teachers in this county? Definitely.